and welcome to this very important session where we are going to talk about how we can move towards net zero carbon events. We have with us our distinguished speaker, Ms. Anju Gomes, who is the Regional Director of ICA for the Middle East region. And we are going to understand what are the actionable strategies, what are the innovative solutions to help us achieve net zero carbon emission in events, from reducing energy consumption, reducing waste management, and sustainable sourcing for our events. So thank you, Anju, for giving us time for this important session. I think ICA has been driving a lot of voice and initiatives in this direction. And I would like to understand more from you about this critical issue. What is your opinion to start with about this critical issue of sustainable events?
I think sustainability in one sentence, if you have to say, it's no more an option for us. It's basically a necessity now that every human being has to, address, and in order to have a balanced and prosperous future. Um, for ICA, sustainability is, of course, a priority because it aligns with our mission, which is to support global meeting industry in creating long-term value and also driving positive impacts. As a leading association in the industry, we are recognizing the pressing needs to address environmental, social, and economic challenges so that our future is safe in this industry, and our future generation also should be thriving by preserving resources and protecting the environment. Currently we are supposed to work towards reducing it by 45% to 50%, and the global warming is really gone by 1.5% centigrade. So, and it's also important because sustainable initiatives are going to create, more jobs. And it's already revealed that by 2050, we will have more than 1 million, not 1 million, 42, I think 42 million jobs will be created through the sustainability practices that we should be adapting. And of course, we need to protect the environment, which is vital for us to have clean air, and less food production, or, farm to the table concept, clean water, and the number of species, more than 1 million species currently are at risk. So I think we need to all come together and start saving millions of lives.
Now, Anju, we see that there are some countries, there are some regions which are proactively working on this issue of sustainability, and they are actually working a lot in this direction. While there are some others which are, I mean, they are not putting as much effort as really needs to be, and they are those regions especially where they are having more pollution and population concerns because they may be struggling to raise their economy to that level, so they are at that stage of their evolution. How do you assess different regions? Because in ICA, there are so many countries, there are representation from so many regions. How do you assess the situation in different regions in different parts of the world as to where this more awareness is there? Which countries do you see are working more towards this? Which tourism boards are more actively taking steps to promote sustainable events?
Well, I think firstly, sustainable to have a sustainability or a strategy is important. Everybody is having, I think globally, everybody is contributing to it, but practicing is expensive. If you ask me, if you have to do like a net zero event, we are still progressing towards it. And it's not because we don't want to, we are not making a conscious effort, but it's because if you do everything sustainable in an event, which can, make it a certified net zero event, then you have to increase your budget. So it's expensive, number one. And I think there is already a global awareness and global initiative taken, the net zero pledge that we have, we are also part of the pioneers. ICA is a pioneer of that pledge. and we are proposing to all our members to become part of this pledge. And this pledge is not necessarily only for the events industry. It's for every industry, it's for every member, it's for every human being. Even for me on a personal level, I can put that pledge and see what I can, contribute. Uh, there are internationally, you may have already seen the last few events, like the global events I'm talking about, like in Tokyo in 2020 Olympics. They utilize recycled materials, and their medals and everything that they utilize, modular venues. They try to minimize environmental impact. So, Asia is definitely doing it. Europe is doing it. And of course, even the biggest event of our industry, which is the IMEX Frankfurt, also is, committed to the sustainability initiatives. They are doing green badge printing, sustainable food options, everything is digital. Printing is gone really low. ICA has also, done a gastronomy pledge last year in Bangkok. And even now this year, in Abu Dhabi, when we did the Congress, we are now verified. ICA Congress is verified as a zero waste event. What that means is that along with the local partner, we had no food wasted. They were because there are multiple options of what you do with the leftover food, and if you recycle it properly, then there is no waste added to the globe for extra green gas emission. And we are the first global event. It's officially recognized as zero food waste by landfill event by the pledge on food waste. And I think we, as in Middle East, if I may touch, in Middle East, we are doing big strides and big commitment towards sustainability, like World Trade Center, for example. It's Dubai is one of the pioneers in the region doing multiple activities, and they have water saving technologies. They have a commitment towards waste reduction and recycling. They have very efficient energy saving process for their lights. And Abu Dhabi, for that matter, Dubai Expo City also, is a very sustainable venue. You know that it has been created with the concept of 15 minutes walk to work. So people can stay there and work. And so there is no carbon emission for transfers going to the offices. ADNEC, which is in Abu Dhabi, is they are using the LED lighting and high efficiency HVAC system. They're also the first host of the first carbon neutral trade show in the region. Qatar Convention Center is also an energy efficient, designed and sustainable venue. The arena in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, also, the King Abdullah to Design and Development Bureau has, sorry, that's in Jordan, not Saudi. They have committed reducing the environmental footprint, and Bahrain and Saudi Arabia and, even Sharjah, for that instant, are contributing and operating, focusing on the energy saving. So I think globally there is already a huge vision. I know the net to achieve by 2030, but at least I know that everybody has a plan globally to have a 2030 and a 2040 vision in which sustainability is, a key element. And not to, forget that even the net zero event itself, we are claiming that maybe by 2040, 2050. In Dubai, we have one institute, which is C Institute. It's a fully sustainable venue, immersive venue. And I think when I met them, they personally told me they are already going to be a net zero venue by 2030. And I think that's the live example that I could give you, because it's my personal interview and experience with them. But I still think after 2030, they're going to start contributing to the, to the future events. But at least their whole venue would be a totally net zero. And I think that's a big initiative. And I think globally we are doing a positive move towards sustainability and events. I mean, I don't want to spell out the impact that our industry actually creates. It's a huge contribution that we do as well, towards CO2. So we hold that personally, and it's our responsibility to make better tools for organizers. And I think there are ways to really achieve this if you plan well.
For our audiences, I would like to understand more about net zero carbon events. What is this? What is this net zero all about? And we have different stakeholders like the venue. You mentioned the venues, right? There are then the organizers. There are
Yeah.
also the service providers, and finally there are the corporate participants. So, in total, what is the net zero carbon event, and how do all of these stakeholders are involved in this process?
So basically, net zero event is aiming to eliminate or offset all carbon emissions through sustainable practices and, basically carbon removal projects. So net zero carbon events are very crucial to address the climate change, and the events industry contributes significantly to the global greenhouse gas emissions. Um, as per the research, it highlights, that events generate 1.2 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide annually. And it is compared to like major economies of the global. And it's also like to tell you that one single event that we host, it produces up to 5,000 metric tons of CO2. And this is mainly due to the travel and the energy that is used by the venue to hold the event. And it's an urgent requirement now to limit the global warming by 1.5% centigrade. Global emission must drop by 45% minimum by 2030. And we are already in 2024. We are not even close to it. I think we are maybe 10 to 15%. And hence the events industry plays a very key role, if we start adopting sustainable practices. Like I said, that if you do net zero events and you are actually, encouraging attendees or the organizers to combine their events. Now you're having this online. I think you could have had this in person as well, but you chose to do this event online, which shows that you have done you have taken an initiative. This is an initiative towards sustainability as well. Having virtual events, having hybrid events, or ensuring that you do not for every activity do an in-person event. And carbon offsetting is also become like a big industry. There are multiple organizations that are ready to help because organizers normally don't know how to offset. Now, if you are doing an in-person event, you definitely need delegates to attend. You definitely need lights. You definitely need food and transport and so many things that come along with holding an event. And as I said, having sustainable event means you use electric vehicles, you try and use airlines that are having sustainable fuels. You have food which is only from farm to the table, so you are not going to export or import any food, and it will be within the radius of, I think, 200 meters is what is the norm, but I know in some cases it's not possible. And then you have, no plastic, and you do not, because if you don't have plastic and you have like proper plates, you're still using water to wash it. So it's like there is some waste happening somewhere, but unless that has rooted, you need to root that waste in a way where it is recycled, and in a way where it is contributing back to the nature. And that's where when you are planning an event, you should have these organizations highlighted, or you should have a collaboration with them and say that, this is what we are going to emit through my event, and how do I offset it? Now, in order to know what you're going to emit, it also starts at the point of registration. So, you need to know where the person is coming from and how much flying time is required, because there are measures everywhere. You can measure me coming from Dubai to India. What is the carbon emission? Right from my home to your hotel, from hotel to venue, inside the venue, and revert. So me personally could have been, for example, doing 1,000 carbon emission if I come to attend an in-person event. Now, if like me, there are about another 500 people, depending on whether they're coming from Europe or US or wherever, and you have a certain metric ton, and how do I offset this? This is only travel. And so you need to collaborate with these carbon offsetting companies who will be able to give you measurement to collect data. And once you collect the data, analyze it. And then once they analyze, they will give you a proposal of how to offset this. So for example, you have done X number of metric tons, and then they will say, okay, per metric ton needs 10 trees. So, these many trees, if you plant, then you're offsetting the whatever the carbon emission happened. This is net zero event, but there has to be a plus to it. For example, if you do 5,000 metric tons in an event, and then you are saying, okay, you know what, I don't want to just offset of the what is utilized or emitted. I want to add another 5,000 to it. So that means you're giving it's a positive footprint. That there is a negative footprint, which is the carbon emission, but there is they call it something called carbon handprint now. And instead of doing a footprint, you should do a handprint, which means that you need to, if whatever you do, and if you feel like you've used a bottle of water at the layman, at very, very low end, if you're using a plastic bottle to drink water, you should be conscious of, okay, I need to plant one tree for it, for
Mm.
example.
Mm.
So if every individual thinks in that direction, then, and you don't buy stuff which is one use, single use. You have to avoid single use. You have to use recycle materials. So I think you do understand that we are far from having a net zero event. But I think if you have different elements, like we did now for the ICA Congress, we have touched on the food aspect, just the food. And even for our travel of all the delegates, we collaborate with Costa Rica. They are our sustainable partner, and they will offset all the travel footprints, just the travel footprints, through, this initiative. So we know that our travel and our food is covered. But there is additional thing like venue branding, lighting, and I said that ADNIC, we had the event in ADNIC, and they also have utilized certain energy saving, concepts or programs where we will be reducing the cost there. So I'm hoping that we will be a net zero event soon as well.
So ICA has a wide range of memberships. Like you also have associations, and then associations organize their own lot of events annually. A lot of conferences are being organized. So, do you have some SOPs or white papers which are in process, which you'd like to publish or maybe feature, so that the best practices can be highlighted for these kind of associations or for event organizers, conference organizers?
Are you saying relevant to sustainability,
Yeah,
or is it?
in context
No,
of like sustainability.
I think we are still taking baby steps in that matter. What we are now promoting to the associations is that, they all have an RFP for their event before they go anywhere. They need to release their RFP, and based on the RFP, the destinations bid, and that's how the event goes to that destination. So we are encouraging them to put sustainability clause in the RFP, so that that becomes like a planned initiative by the association as well as the host, because the host also has to, whoever is going to bid for the event, they have to make sure that they fulfill that requirement. And I think I don't know why my video went off, sorry. I think the main thing right now is um, let's say walk the talk, and not just preach in white papers. I think there are multiple papers already existing on sustainability. There is a lot of content on the website already. Unless you have like a case study, like for ICA, we are working on a white paper on our now, zero food waste for the Congress that we had, and that would be out soon. But I think it's important that we are concentrating on practical cases rather than imaginary content. So if you want, from the last 10 years, there is lots of material available. Going forward from ICA side, we will come up with the food waste white paper for sure. Our Abu Dhabi case study white paper as well. We are working on it. So yes, I urge everybody who is listening to me today, that you should submit your initiatives and put together a content paper where you can say what are the initiatives taken by the industry in India. And I think that is more relevant to read, to know what people are really, how they are acting, and they are not just talking. So there's no more greenwashing. It's green walking.
Absolutely. I think we have had a very insightful session with you today, Anju. Personally, I have learned a lot, and I'm sure our attendees have gained a lot of valuable insights. I invite all the attendees to kindly network with each other through this virtual platform. They can connect and they can ask queries. They can share their valuable insights amongst each other, because this forum is designed to talk about sustainability and the best practices. Finally, as a closing remark, Anju, 5 years down the line, do you feel that even the sponsors, they would like to invest their money into projects and events which are more sustainable, or which are towards moving towards net zero carbon?
Definitely. Why 5 years down the line? Today only, I think there are more
Yeah.
than 50% of the travelers, let's say just the travelers, who are ready to invest in, sustainable traveling. So, for example, in Europe, if you have an event and if there is a way to travel to the destination by train, they will. And I think that's something very important for the organizers to know, that you need to put the way you put together your speaker invitation, or you put together your delegate invitations, you need to put two options for them. That if you are traveling within India, try to travel with public transport, utilization of train or bus or whatever it is there, and put the measurement over there. It's very crucial. And I think it's we are I told you, we are I'm not sure whether we'll achieve it by 2030, but I think at least in the next 10 years, I'm hoping that we will. So 5 years is, I think, a little bit short, but maybe 10 years, I'm hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that we will be having more sustainable events, and saving the globe for our future generation.
All right. Well, thank you, Anju, on behalf of this initiative and on behalf of all the attendees, for giving us time and for sharing your valuable insights with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Raghav. And I think you're doing a great job. I'm always here, listening to all the various things that you do on the social media. I think it's important that whatever you're doing, it's contributing to the bigger and bigger mice future in India. And ICA is here to support you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your support.